Alright, good evening to you all. This is Emmanuel Kadri and you are welcome to this class. Today we are going to be having a revision on all the topics that we have done so far. Although some of the topics might be skipped, but we are going to be able to cover a whole lot of them tonight, especially the most important ones. Okay, so we are going to start with arithmetic operators in Python. Arithmetic operators in Python. So this is what we are starting with. For those of you who are just joining us afresh, please take note that the hashed symbol, the hashtag here, is used to represent a comment. Whenever Python sees a comment, it will not run it. It will not take it as part of the code. So it will just ignore it. It won't take it as part of the code. So whenever you are to write a note, you want to write a note to yourself or to anybody else who is going to be reading your code. So it is always advised to put it in a comment so that Python will not be confused thinking that it is part of your code. You understand it now. So you learn more about comments when you watch the previous videos on it. Okay, so we want to talk about arithmetic operators in Python. We just have a few of them. Arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical functions or calculations in Python. All right, so you can use it to do addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, exponentation, modulus, and so on. Okay, so we are going to quickly revise them. Let's see what they are and then what we use them to do with a couple of examples. So there we go. The very first one we are going to be talking about is the addition operator. Okay, so addition operator is just the normal plus. Addition is just normal plus. Okay, so which means that in Python programming, if you have two numbers, if you have two numbers, let's just say print 2 plus 5. Okay, if this plus operator, the addition operator, is seen in between two numbers, then Python knows that you actually want to add. But if the addition operator comes in between two strings, Python knows that you want to concatenate the strings. Concatenating strings means you want to join these two strings together to form one. All right. But when the plus sign is found in between two numbers, it means that you are trying to add those two numbers. All right. So print statement is used to display results or to display whatever. Okay. So which means if you want anything to be displayed in a console, you use the print statement. And so when you say print 2.5, you are telling Python, please add 2 to 5. Obviously, the answer will be 7. And then print the result, that is, display the result. So when you run the program like this, so you're going to have the results 7 displayed in the console. You understand? So that is just how the addition operator works. It is used to add 2 or more numbers. Okay, while the print statement is used to display the results of that addition. Okay, so without the print statement, nothing is going to happen when you run the program. Nothing is going to be displayed. Okay, so now apart from saying print 2.5, well, you could as well say something like x is equal to 7 plus 8, and then x is equal to 7 plus 8, and then you could just say, okay, print x. It still works that way, no problem. So by the time you run the program, you're going to get 7 plus 8, which is 15. The 7 that you are seeing here is the result of the earlier one, which is 2 plus 5. Okay, so you understand. Unless you deactivate it using the using the, what's it called, the comments, that is when it will not show the result for that one. It will only show the result for the second one, okay, because you have deactivated the first one with a comment symbol. So that's one of the use of comments too. Comment can be used to deactivate a portion of your code so that that particular part of the code will not run, even though it is a valid code, because this is actually a valid code, okay? So, but because you just don't want Python to run it, you can just use the hash symbol to deactivate it. Then if you want it to come back to life, it's just removing the hash and then it comes back to life. You see that it gains its color back and then we are good to go. All right, so you could also do something like maybe since you already have x there as something, so you can say y is equal to 24 plus x. 24 plus x. So if you say y equals 24 plus x, no problem, okay? By the time you run then you can now say, you can say print y. It's still going to give you the results. So which means 24 plus x, whatever x had been before. You know, x was 15. So by the time you add 24 plus 2, 15, whatever it is, okay? So it's going to be displayed using the print statement. So when you say print y, so when you run it, it will give you 3 results now. 7 for the result of the first print statement, then 15 for the result of the second print statement, and then 39 for the result of the third print statement. And that's just how it works, okay? So, okay, so that's just addition operator for you. All right, so let's go to the second operator. So I've used style to revise the use of print statements. Stylishly, I have revised to you the use of comments, or what comments are. You understand? So the only second type of commenting is what I've not touched, and I'm going to touch it pretty soon. All right. So what we have now is the addition operator. So the next operator is the subtraction operator, which is still the same process, just that instead of plus, you are going to be using minus. The same syntax, you can use it the same way you used the initial one. Who among you is having the mic still on? Mic is still on for someone. Okay. Please turn off your mic if it is on, so you won't interrupt the class, except if you want to ask a question. All right, so fine, then we have it that way. All right, so the subtraction operator still works in a similar manner. So if you have print 2 minus 5, for instance, okay, 2 minus 5, we all know you can write everything together like this. You can as well put space. It will still work the same way. It will work, even though you join 2 minus 5, you join them together without putting space, it will work fine. If you put space, it will work fine. But it's just only good to put space for readability. You know, it makes your code to be clear and readable. You know, it's not good to just fuse up everything. It won't be looking appealing. So you need to code like a pro, and then you start learning it from now, even as you are not yet a pro. Okay? So it's just that way. So you say print 2 minus 5, you expect minus 3 as the result, which is here, minus 3. It means you're having 2, you're owing 5. If you pay, the person's still owing 3. So, all right, so the next one, if you can still have it this way too. Okay, let me just copy the whole of this. Okay, let me copy it one by one, so you just see the result as it is. So if you have x equals 7 plus 8, so this time around, I'm putting it as 7 minus 8. No problem. By the time you can, let me just make this one like P. Okay, so by the time you print P, okay, please, if you are typing anything, Python will try to help you to bring suggestions. All right, so the moment you see something like what you are looking for, just press enter button and it will select that thing. Okay, it's like a shortcut instead of you having to type everything all over, okay, from the beginning. And then for this print, you can write print and put the bracket following it immediately. or you can put a space in between. It will still work either ways. Okay, nothing is affected. So if I run this program now, I'm expecting -1 as the result. And then, yes, I've got it, -1. Okay, so and so on and so forth. It's just like that. So let's just save, let us save time. It's just the same way. Okay, so the next thing now to discuss is the use of the division operator. All right, division operator is represented with a /. Okay, it's represented with a /. Division operator. So if you want to divide, let's say you have and then one thing about the division is that when you divide, the result always comes in form of a float. All right, I believe you understand what floats are. Okay, I'm going to just revise that briefly for those who have forgotten, or for those who have not joined this class, since we started and all that. So division operator. So if you have something like 10, or let me say 20 divided by 5. All right. So let me just say print. Print has to be in small letter. Print 20 divided by 5. Okay. So if you have print 20 divided by 5, you are expecting the answer to be 4. All right. So if you run this program, you have 4. You can see that instead of it writing 4, it wrote 4.0, because the result of division always comes out as floats. It always comes out as floats. Although if you do not want it to be like that, you and I know that there are some special, there is a way you can do it so that the result will just be whole number. Okay, so we are going to talk about that when we get to the stage of when we are trying to revise string formatting, when we are doing revision on string formatting. Okay, all right. Then please, I want to suggest something. I'm thinking of something. I think you guys still remember all of these things, right? Unmute your mic and talk to me. Maybe we should just.
Yes, we do.
You still remember all these things?
I still remember.
We remember.
Yeah, clearly.
Even all these
I still remember.
arithmetic operators, right?
Yes, we remember.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
Well, now let's jump to something. Maybe I should just revise list, tuple, sets, and then dictionary. What do
Yeah,
you
better.
think?
Yes.
Okay. Shaya, why are you raising your hands?
You've not talked about, okay, for instance, if you want to do like 2 raised to power of 2.
I know. I just felt you already knew all of this, so that's why.
No, you didn't teach us that.
Okay. All right. So if you want to do power now, power is exponentation. Okay. So let's say exponentation is represented by double asterisk. Double asterisk. Multiplication is single asterisk. Okay. For instance, if you want to multiply, multiplication is single asterisk. So if you say print 20 times 5, it should be 20 asterisk 5, and then by the time you run it, you're going to be having 100. Okay. Yeah, you're going to be having 100. So exponentation is just like is raised to power, okay, which is double asterisk, which means if you say 2 raised to power 4, let me say display 2 raised to power 4. So that will be 2 double asterisk 4. That is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 in 4 places. And we expect the result to be 30, is it not 32? Yeah, 32. So let's run it. Oh, 16, not 32. 2 raised to power 5 is 32. So that's 16, okay? So when you want to do raised power is represented by double asterisk. That stands for exponentation, okay? And then I think there are other ones again, like, what's it called? Modulus. Modulus is represented by percentage. So what modulus does is that, but it divides two numbers and then it will give you the remainder. Okay, so it divides two numbers and returns the remainder. All right, so which means it will divide two numbers and it gives the remainder as the result. So if I have something like print, if I say print 5 modulus 2, 5 modulus 2, you expect the result to be 1, because 5 divided by 2 is going to give you 2 remainder 1. So that remainder is just what this guy will display for you. All right, so let's run it. You're expecting the answer to be 1, so let's see how it goes. Yes, it is 1. So here, if you do 5 modulus 3, you expect the answer to be 2, because 3 will go in 5 just once, remaining 2. So what modulus does is that it divides two numbers and returns the remainder. Okay, it gives the remainder as the results. So that is modulus for you. Which one again have I not spoken about? Okay, that's just that as per that. If there is anyone again, well, by the time the need comes for it, I will explain it. Okay, so but these are just the most popular one. These are the ones you're going to be, dealing with for a long time. Okay, more frequently. All right, so that's that as per that. I'm going to go straight to revision on list. Okay, list, tuple, and sort. But before then, is there anything you guys really want me to touch again? Or maybe personally along the line, there is a topic that you really didn't find funny, or a topic that gave you an issue at one point or the other. So you just let me know the topic and I can quickly run over it. All right. You guys share.
String formatting.
Okay, so let's have a rush revision on string formatting, a rush revision. Okay, we are spending 2 hours revising all the things that we've done in the past. So I'm just going to make it as brief as possible. Okay, so but if you want to have an in-depth knowledge of any of these things, you can as well go back to the old videos that address it. I'm sure you'll be able to get everything. Okay, so, all right then, let's quickly touch string formatting sharply. So I'm just going to open a new tab, okay? So I'm going to open a new tab, and then this is going to be for string formatting, okay? All right, so can I rename this? Okay, it's not giving me the chance to rename it. Okay, so this tab is just going to be for string formatting, okay? All right, so for you guys too, if you are coding, and then maybe you are trying to code different modules, all right? Maybe you want to code a particular area for a purpose and another thing for another purpose. You are very free to open new tabs to put new codes there, okay? And then test each of them. So when the thing is working fine, you can now integrate everything into the main page, into the main tab. Okay, you can put everything together into the main tab. So you are given the opportunity to, to create new tabs, to put new codes, and then test codes differently before bringing them together. Okay. So, but in this case now, I am just using it to explain different topics for you, so that by the time I share the link, you can always revisit them to just check the things I did and all that. Okay, so let's move on. Now, string formatting. String formatting is just this process of formatting your string, that is trying to program Python to display a string in a particular format, in a particular way. For those who are just joining us for the first time, or those who have not been regular with class, when you say string simply means a character or a set of characters, all right, which means anything different from number or different from Boolean is a string, all right. If it is not a number and it's not a Boolean, Boolean is true or false, okay. Numbers can be decimal, can have decimal, numbers can have decimal, and then it can be whole number. The one that have decimal parts, those ones are called floats. Whole numbers are called integers, all right. So strings are like textual formats, textual stuffs, anything that is text, either a single character, a set of characters, or a sentence. We call them strings in Python, okay. All right, so we have ways in which we can make Python to display its results or display strings, okay. So the process of telling Python how to display strings when you want it to, the way you want it to be displayed is called string formatting. All right. So there is string formatting part 1, there is part 2, and there is also part 3. So I've touched part 1 and 2. I have not touched part 3 yet. So part 1 is just the basic thing. Let's see how it goes. If, for instance, okay, let's just do string formatting using I taught you 3 methods actually. So string formatting using the comma method, like the normal way, using comma to separate between variables and constants. So let's start that one. String formatting using comma. Comma is actually used when you are trying to separate, you use comma when you want to separate variables from constants inside a single print function. Okay, so let's say we have print Mr. Emmanuel, or maybe before then, let's say we have a variable. Let's say x is equal to 55. X equals 55. Y equals Emmanuel. All right. So you can have something like this. Mr. And then please, anytime you want to represent strings, remember, never forget to put them inside quotes. Okay, anytime you wish to represent strings, strings are meant to be kept inside quotes. It can be a single quote, it can also be double quotes. All right, so but strings are meant to be kept in quotes. If you don't put them in quotes, you are telling Python something different entirely. All right, so if I remove this code, for instance, Python will think I'm trying to represent a variable. All right, you can see that the color changed to white because the color for variables are white. You can see that x is a variable, y is a variable. So it comes in white, but strings come in green. Okay, so highlighting it and putting this, pressing that single quote will cover the two sides with quotes. So you have y is equal to Emmanuel and x equals 55. So you can say Mr. and then you put comma, and then you put y, which represents Emmanuel. You put comma again. Is, put this one inside quotes too, is. So maybe you want to say Mr. Emmanuel is 55 years old. So you say Mr. Y is, since 55 is also a variable, you put comma, and then you put x, you separate it again, and put this one inside quotes as years old. Okay? So, whether you use single quote or double quote, it's going to work. All right? But I will still implore you to go over the video again if you have any issues, if you want to understand it better. Okay? Because I'm not going to cover everything the way I did back then. So, this is just to refresh our memory. I put this comma here because it is a rule that between every variable and every string or every constant, you must put comma. Otherwise, it will return an error. If you run the code, it will bring out an error. okay, it will crash the code. For instance, if I don't put comma here, all right, and I try to run it, so let's run it. You see what Python is going to say. It's going to bring a crash. So it's trying to point to that place where it saw that the error came from. You understand? So it's pointing to it. It says invalid syntax, which means it is forbidden to have a string and a variable follow each other immediately without a comma separating them. All right? So from the string to the variable y, from the string Mr. to the variable y, you put a comma, okay? And then between the variable y and then the string is, you also put a comma. Then between the is and then the variable x, you also put a comma. And then between the variable x and the constant years old, you also put a comma. So that is how it works, okay? All right, so in that case, what you do is that you are going to, okay, if you run this program now, I don't think this one should have any issue, should give us any issue. So it's run very fine. It says Mr. Emmanuel is 55 years old, and then it works very fine. And then this comma, apart from the fact that it separates between variable and constant, another work it does is that it brings a standard spacing. So which means even though you do not put space, even though you pack everything together like this, it's still going to run pretty well, all right? So by the time you run the program, it's still going to give you the same results without any issues. You understand it now? You packing them together does not change anything. The comma is still useful for standard spacing. Do you understand? So apart from the fact that it separates those constants from variable, it's also used to put space, in space of one character in between the variables and the constants. Okay? So that is how it works. All right? So then if I want to say, let me say print what is your name? Let me say question number 1. Let me just put something like y is equal to what is your name? So I can have something like this, question number 1, and then I put comma, and I put y. All right? So you can just run it, and...
No, Z.
Okay, Z, thank you. So you can just put Z here. And you run the code. So running the code says question number 1, what is your name? Okay, if I want more space to be there, I can even put the more space inside here. Putting that more space inside here, okay, by the time you run the program, it's still going to give us that more space. You can see, okay? So it created extra space between this and that, and it still worked fine. Okay, so whatever you do, you just know what you are doing, and that's just it. Just know the basics, and then you can be able to do any magic you like. You can do anything you like with your code, as far as you know what you're doing. You can do just anything with your code. Okay, all right, that's as for that. So this is string formatting using the comma method. Okay, so each of these methods have their limitation. There are some things you want to do, but you cannot achieve it using this method. So that is the reason why you need to know all the methods available. So that by the time you want to achieve certain things and a particular method would not allow you, then you switch to another method which will permit that kind of thing. So by the time I touch all the 3 methods now, okay, that we have here, that I've taught you so far, by the time I touch all the 3 methods, you will see that there are some things you want to do with one that you cannot do with the other. There are some things you will be able to do with one that you cannot do with another. So let's see how it goes. So let's have the second method, string formatting using dot format method.
Percent.
Okay, using percentage method, I think percentage method. So we call them placeholder. Using percentage placeholder, like, okay. So now, if you want to make use of the placeholder for, remember that the placeholder for numbers or for integer, that's all numbers,
D.
is D. Is D. So you just say percentage D. Good. Percentage D. And then remember that placeholder, let me just put this one here so that it looks like placeholder for float. Placeholder for float is what?
F.
Percentage F.
F.
Yes. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, float means decimal. Any number that has a decimal point is called float in Python. And any number that does not have decimal point is just, that's meaning a whole number, okay, is called integer in Python. All right. So we have placeholder for strings
Percentage S.
is percentage S. Okay. All right. So now let's put all these things to work. So let's say we have A is equal to, let's say A is equal to 5.678. So let's say B is equal to 25. Let's say C is equal to IMA. All right. So I think the earlier example was 55. No, voila. Okay. And then, so what do you do here? Let's have an example. If I say print Mr. C. Print Mr. C is should I do it this way? Okay. So let me say Mr. and then percentage. Okay, Share, what's up?
Sorry, do we have any placeholder for a constant like pi now? 3.14.
Please, you can, even pi is a function it's a predefined function in Python. All right. So by the time you just indicate pi, automatically the value comes up. But in as much as it is a number, you can have a placeholder for it, definitely. The same way, okay, we are not having anything different from this trio. Percentage D, percentage F, and percentage S, nothing more. So pi that you talk about now will fall under percentage F because it's a float. All right, it will fall for
Yes.
percentage F.
Okay.
So it's not as if
Yeah.
we can have a special placeholder for pi because pi is special.
Pi.
No. In as much as it is a
All
number,
right.
it's a number is a number. So nothing special about it. So it can either fall for percentage D or percentage F. You understand? So
Okay.
that's how it goes. All right. So if you say Mr. Because I want to indicate Mr. Emmanuel, so I can say Mr. percentage. What am I going to use? D, F, or S? Because I want to represent Emmanuel there. I want to represent Emmanuel.
Percentage S.
I'm going to do percentage S. Mr. Emma is they can put percentage what? B, years old. All right. So Mr. Emma is So now, in order to complete it, so what do you think I'm going to do?
It's not supposed to be percentage D.
Sorry, got carried away. Yeah. All right. So now that I'm done putting the placeholders, we call them placeholder because they are holding a position for us. They are holding a position for the variable. So that by the time you call the Python will just go and fetch the variables from where you kept them in the print statement and replace them and use them to replace this thing upon display. All right. So now that I've indicated what I want, what am I going to write next in these brackets? Who can remind me? I've indicated the placeholders. So how do I make Python to fetch them?
Dot format.
No. Not dot format. Dot format is the second method, the one I'm going to teach you after the percentage placeholder. So what am I going to do?
You write them according to their order of appearance.
So what am I going to do before writing them? All of you have used it to eat semo. You have used it to eat semo. And you've also used it to queue at ATM or also for new naira notes.
Stop, Abby.
No, it's not easy.
Well, so what you're going to do this time around is that after you have finished closing the string, the moment you've closed the string, you are going to write percentage and open a bracket. Okay? You open a bracket and now put the values
Chai.
that you are trying to point to,
Yes.
to put in this placeholder. You place them inside this place.
Yes.
So for instance now, since this one is percentage S, that is a string, right? You want Ima to appear there. So
Yes.
you're going to put C there and you put comma. So this percentage D now stands for a whole number, okay, which means you want
Yeah.
age to stand
B.
to stay there. And then you can even have it as age like this. Doesn't matter. It's still a variable. You can represent variable. Even you can do this one, you can make it height. Do you understand? So you can say Mr. Emmanuel is percentage years old, okay, and can say percentage F, percentage F inches tall. So you can put it that way. So ideally, what I'm trying to create is that Mr. Emmanuel is 55 years old and 5.678 inches tall. That's what I'm trying to do.
7, 8 tall.
Yeah. So now I'm going to put it like this: 6 comma, then the percentage D, right? That's an integer, so which is age. Okay. I can undo. Oh shit. What did I just do? Undo. Is percentage age percentage S, I mean D rather. Percentage S is percentage D years old and percentage F inches tall. So let me call this one name. Okay. In Python programming, we always use small letter to represent our variables. And then if the variable is more than one word, you can use camel casing, or you can use camel casing or use underscore. All right. So for instance, now if I want to say height, or teacher's height, okay, I can say Ima. Just an example, Ima underscore height, because it is more than one word. Okay. So instead of me writing Ima and then you put space and put height, it is forbidden. If you write this code this way, yeah, it's going to return an error because you don't write two variables without assigning them to something. Okay, it's forbidden in Python. So Ima space height, it will not work. But so in order to avoid that error, you can say Ima underscore height. So it still looks like one word to Python, but you know within yourself that it is two words. Okay? Then another thing again is to use camel casing. Camel casing is like this. Ima, you put height like this, which means that at the beginning of every other word after the first word, you always start with capital letter. The first word will start with small letter, and at the beginning of every other word, you use capital letter. Okay? So that is another type of representation called the camel casing. Camel. We call it camel casing because it looks like the back of a camel. You know the back of a camel rocks. It has it has galloping at the back. So that's why I call it camel casing. You can say Ima heights index. Something like that. So you see. So which means the beginning of every stuff we start with small letter, and it goes like that. And then another method of representing it is a variable is Pascal casing. Pascal casing it starts with capital letter. Okay, so you can say Ima height. This is Pascal casing. It is also allowed, but the most popular is either camel casing or underscore. All right, Pascal casing is mostly used when you are trying to indicate when you want to do some things like in advance. When you are advancing your Python now, you deal with object-oriented programming in Python, and so you'll be doing something like classes. You'll be doing classes and then objects and all that. So in all those areas, Pascal casing might find usefulness. Okay, and there are some other function too that is described in Python that Pascal casing was used to call, and all that. So, but apart from that, basically, or as a matter of convention, or when I say convention, it means general agreement. Okay, it is just advised to use small letter all through for your variables. Okay, so I'm calling this one height. Height is equal to 5.678. Age is 55. Name is this. All right, Shay, what's up? Shefams.
Sorry, can I write the first and second variable like this, like height, comma age equals 5.678, comma 55 on a single line?
Yes, very well.
I don't know if you get my question.
Oh, I just understood what you are trying to say. Very, very well. It's part of the thing self God that I supposed to have even taught you. I think I skipped it. You understand? Okay, I'm going to make it another example. Okay? Let's just run this code and then I will do it in that way that you asked, and you will see that it will still work. Okay? So when you have height is equal to 5.678, age is 55, name is Ima, and then you have this. So I'm going to just put it here. Since the first thing I'm trying to represent, okay, is Ima, so you are going to put the variable there, which is name, comma. The second thing I'm trying to represent is the age. Okay, so the variable that stood for the age is age. And then the next thing I represented here too, which is percentage F, is the height. So I have it as height. So you close up the bracket, and then everything should work fine. You see that it is double brackets here because one bracket is for this internal stuff here, this tuple, while the other bracket closes the beginning, the one for the print statement, which started at the beginning here, which started immediately after the print statement. So, all right, then let's run the code and see what happens. Please mind you put all of these things inside the quote, and then you put the percentage here, okay? So by putting percentage before the bracket, you are telling Python that it should locate each of the placeholders and put in all of these respective variables there. All right? So it doesn't just end there, but I'm going to tell you another thing again that you can do. Let's run the program first to be sure it's correct. And so it is very correct. Mr. Ima is 55 years old and 5.678000 inches tall. Now, please, mind you, by the time you indicate percentage F always tries to display values to 6 decimal place. It always tries to display values to 6 decimal place. So in order to make sure that you specify to Python, which the number of decimal place you want it to have, okay, then you are going to, in between the percentage and F, you are going to put what you want there. For instance, if I want it to round it off to only 2 decimal place, I will say percentage 0.2F, or you can say percentage 0.2F. It's still the same thing. All right, percentage 0.2F means that I want Python to put this thing in 2 decimal place for me. So by the time you run the program, you are going to have it in compact form, 5.68, which means it will approximate it, okay, and give you the results in exactly 2 decimal place. All right. So even though you put it as 0.2F and you run the program, it's still the same thing. It will still work fine. Okay. All right. So then, if you say percentage 0. Let's say percentage 1.2F. Okay. So if you run the program, nothing changed because you already have it by default as a value, and you only have one number before the decimal points. Okay. So you saying 1.2F, you are trying to tell Python that, okay, please create I want only one character. Only one character space, and then what will I call it? You know 5.68, for instance. Now, how many characters does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 characters. So you telling Python that percentage 1.2F means that I want a total of 1 character, and then I want the decimal parts to be 2 decimal place. But I told you that day that if the number of character space that you indicate is less than the number of the characters of the original value, Python will just ignore it. Now, how many characters do we have here, class? How many characters do we have here, class? Class, how many
5.
characters do we have? 5 characters.
5.
All right, good. So now, if I tell Python that, okay, fine, if I come here and say percentage 7.2F, what I'm trying to tell Python is that, please, I want you to create a total space of 7 characters to accommodate this value, but make sure you round off the result to 2 decimal place. If you run this program now, you see a big space. You see a big space here. Because you have told Python that you want 7 character space. So it is going to reserve, look at it now, by default you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So the 3 extra spaces because you indicated to Python that you want 7, okay? And Python will do just that for you. So we have space 1, character 1, character 2, character 3, character 4, character 5, character 6, character 7. The space that you have here is the normal space that was here, that was in between here before. All right. So we have 7 like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because you indicated to Python that you want 7 character space to be available for the results, whatever comes up. And then you told Python that you should round it off to 2 decimal place. So you can see that this one worked. But if the number of character space that you indicated is less than the number of character of the original number, Python will just ignore it. It will not do anything. It will not make any changes. For instance, if I say 2.2F, whereas this thing is 5 characters, Python will ignore it. So if I run it now, everything will just appear normal, as if nothing happened. You understand it now? Even though I say percentage 3.2F, it is the same thing. 4.2F, it is the same thing. 5.2F is the same thing. It will start having effect from 6.2F, from 6 points upward. That is when you begin to see the effects of the character spacing. So the character spacing that you indicate must have a value that is more than the original number, the value of the original number. And mind you, it also works for this D2, this percentage D2. You understand? If I put 4 here, knowing fully well that this one is only 2 characters, By the time I run the program, it's going to leave 2 characters space and then write the 55 2 characters after. You can see the space it left here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 before the normal spacing between is and 55. You understand? So that's what is. But along the line, when you are coding, when you start to do real life coding, okay, when you start to do real life coding, you will see the usefulness of this thing. You may not know how useful it is for now, but by the time you start doing real life coding, you will see the usefulness. Okay, there are so many things too I learned when I was learning Python. I was like, okay, I'm learning this, I'm learning that, no problem. Okay, until I started running practical codes, like when I started applying it real life, that is when I knew the use of many of those things. That really, this thing came in handy here at this point. You know, you might be designing an app, and then you want the app to display some things in a particular way. All these things will come in handy. So none of this knowledge should be wasted or should be lost. You must retain them totally, okay? Because you are going to make use of every single thing that you learn in the course of your journey, your programming journey. You will still see one case that will come up one way or the other that will require the application of those things. It always happens. So you are not just having all these things for nothing. Okay, let's move on. All right, so you have Mr. Percentage S is percentage 4 years old, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So you can leave this one as 0 since you don't need it. And then you can remove this one. Now, what if you put a point here and you say 4.3? What will happen? Well, you know, D is an integer, and it doesn't you have any business with, it shouldn't have any business with decimal place. So if you now put a decimal there and you run it, see what happens. All right? So, you said Mr. Ima is the 4 that you have here worked for the spacing, right? 1, like 1, 2, 3, and 4 before the space. Okay? So that 4 worked fine. But the 0.3 that you put here, see the work it did. 0.3 that you put here is telling Python that you want it to be in what? A 3-digit number. You want it to be a 3-digit number. So it is going to add 0 to the front. So let's say you are writing a computer code, that you are writing a code or you are developing an app where the value must appear in 3 digits no matter what. So this is what you are going to do to it. Do you understand it now? In mathematics too, when you want to represent longitude and latitude and all of those things like that, you know, the value must always come out in is it 3 digits? Yeah. Okay. So that's how it is, Sha. Please, do you understand what I just did here, or you need further explanation? Is it clear enough?
Very clear.
Okay. So when you put points for D, the way it works is different from the way it works when you put points for F. When you put points for F, that one is telling you the number of decimal place. So if I want the result to come in 3 decimal place, I will say 0.3. So Python will approximate everything to 3 decimal place. If I want it to be in 1 decimal place, I will say 0.1. And by the time you run the program, you will see that the result will be 5.7 because I want it to be in only 1 decimal place. And if I want it to be in the nearest whole number, okay, I will just say 0.0. 0.0, Python will approximate it to the nearest whole number. And then you have 6. Do you understand it now? So that is how it works for F. So let me return it to 0.2. But when you put points for D which stands for integers, the placeholder for integer, okay, since integer does not have any decimal place, if you put a point here, it tells you the number of digits that you want the results to be in. So which means, if let's say I took this one away now and I say 0.5, it means that I want it to appear in 5 digits. So it's going to say Mr. Emma is 00055 years old and then 5.68 inches tall, as you can see. All right? So, and I also want to tell you that anytime you learn anything from me in the class, feel very free to go and experiment a whole lot of other things yourself based on that same topic. So don't restrict yourself only to the information I provide. You can also try to experiment. I learn by experimenting. You understand? Many of the things I know how to do today, I learned them because after I have finished reading what I want to read or learning what I want to learn, when I'm alone on my own, I just try to experiment like, okay, let me do this thing like this, let me do this like, let me see what is going to happen. You understand? Let me just try this thing, let me see what's going to happen. Let me just try this thing, let me see what will come out of it. Instead of me putting 2 quotes, let me put 1 quote and let me see what will happen. They say we can put points for F, let me put point for D and see what will happen. All of those kind of things like that, okay? It will help you to learn more because no textbook will cover everything 100%. No lesson, no tutorial tool will cover everything 100%. There are many things that you will not be taught. That those things you will just be left to figure them out yourself in the line of your coding. So that is the reason why you need a lot of practice. You need to practice a lot, okay? So that during the course of practice, even you yourself can be picking up some new stuffs on your own that the teacher may not even, did not even explain. You understand it now? So discretion is one of the things you must have as a programmer. It's very important. You must have discretion. Ability to think on your own and create something on your own. Because you are going to be given some kind of task in real life. And you like, coding is like mathematics. Okay? A math teacher will teach you mathematics, but it is not all the example that you'll be given. You have thousands of questions that relate to that same topic. So the teacher cannot possibly cover all the whole possible examples in the world. In that case now, what you do is that you use your discretion. You make use of the thing that you were taught, okay? You now add your discretion to it to be able to solve the problem that you are given. You understand it now? So that's how it also goes in programming too. All the basic things I taught you, you add your discretion to it to be able to solve some other real life problem. Okay, I might not possibly teach you everything in the whole world, but I will teach you everything that you need so that you can use it to get every other thing that you will need later on. Okay, enough of the stories. Let's come back to class. So we have Mr. Blah, 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 blah. That is how to use the percentage method. And to answer your question, Shefam, you see, instead of me saying height is equal to this, age is equal to this, name is equal to this, Python allows you to arrange them like this. You say height, comma, age, comma, name, comma. No, name will not have comma. Then you put 55.6, okay, comma. You put 55, you put IMA, okay? And then you can wipe this one out, no problem. Everything will still work fine. So, in as much as the way you arrange it is still the same way that their respective values go, no problem. Okay, height is 5.678, age is 55, name is IMA. So if you run this program, you're still going to get your results very fine without any problem. Is that clear to you? I have not taught you this one before. It always keeps my mind. Okay, so I'm sure Shefams had been reading some other resources too, which is very, very advised. Very highly advised.
Exactly.
Highly advised. It is highly advised. Me, whenever I'm reading anything, I don't read from one source. So I can use 5 textbooks to treat one topic. Because what this particular textbook did not say, another textbook will say it. If it is lessons too, I can use up to 3 different lessons from different sources to treat only one topic, so that I can be vast. I can have, and then moreover, the way this one explains will be different from the way this one explains. So I can understand this one better than this one, and the depth that this one went could be different from the depth that this one reached. So it's very advised. As a programmer, you are not meant to just sit there in one place. You are not even meant to be dogmatic. You are meant to be inquisitive. You ask questions a lot. Let your mind be asking questions, even as you are learning. Like, okay, what if I do this thing like this? What is going to happen? If I twist this thing like this, let me see. Let me try this. Let me do this one. This person said this thing. What if I do it this way? What will happen? Okay, you have explained, you have understood this thing. All right, can I do this thing also like this? And then another thing again, as a programmer, Google is your best friend. In fact, the best friend that you have in real life is a fake friend. The moment you decide that, oh, I pledge to be a programmer, the moment you pledge to be a programmer in your life, your next best friend, your first best friend ever is Google. So we programmers know that there is no how, no length that we have reached in our life in programming that you will still not Google. You will not, that you still not have reasons to Google. You will be coding sometimes and you just get confused. You don't know what next to do. You know what you want to achieve. You really know in your mind what you want to achieve. But you have exhausted your options. You don't know you are going to type to achieve that thing, but you know what you want to do. So what you can do is just Google it. How can I achieve this thing in Python? I am trying to do this thing. How can I achieve it? You will see that by the time you put it like this, you would have seen up to 2,000, 10,000 of people that have had that same issue, that has asked the question at one time or the other. And then you will now see the results, the responses to those people. Then the site that you should not joke with as a programmer is Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow, S-T-A-C-K, Stack. Stack Overflow is a very important site to all programmers. You find solutions to so many problems. You find answers to so many questions. You understand it now? So anytime you are hooked, you are trying to do something and you don't know where to go, you are not getting it, just go to Stack Overflow. In fact, most of the questions you put on Google will lead you most of the time, it will lead you to Stack Overflow. Although there are other sites too that answers programmers' questions too, many other sites, but Stack Overflow seems to be Agbawo, the most popular among them. You understand? So that's that as per that. You see that you are learning, you are also learning too. So it's not only coding. So you could be also learning from my own personal experience too as well. Okay? So it's still part of the learning. Still part of the learning. I'm going to expose you to a whole lot of things too along the line. I'm going to expose you to so many sites where you can find help. Or other resources. I'm going to expose you to some places too where you can find some helpful stuff that will help your programming journey. You understand it now? So it's very important you explore as a programmer. You don't stay in only one place. You explore. All right? But this is your primary class. Then other sources should be secondary, just to back up what you learn here and to see if there is anything extra that you can pick up. Okay, let's move on. All right, Mr. Emmanuel is 55 years old, and so these are the things that we've coded so far. Okay, all right, the next method. String formatting using dot format method. String formatting using dot format method. Okay. All right. So let's have examples. As a matter of fact, you could still have the same example like what you had here. You could still use the same example, but instead of using placeholders, we are going to use dot format. All right. And then please, if you want to indicate something like money or dollars or something, feel very free. If you put something here, for instance, you put dollars here, okay, it will just present it exactly that same way. It will put dollar there in the response. Let's see, run it. Disadvantage of using online this thing, like if network is not strong enough, it will be delaying. See the dollar. So the dollar did not affect it. You see that? Even these inches, in these inches, let me say, inches is represented by double quotes in real life. In real life, okay? So you put inches like this. It will still work, no problem. Okay? So by the time you run the program, you see it here. Say Mr. Emmanuel is this 1 year old and 5.68 inches tall. It will work very fine. You understand? But all of these things I'm doing now, you may not be able to achieve it using the comma method. To achieve this same thing using the comma method is going to cost you a lot of headache. Okay, you just look for a way to do it, a way how you, it will just be a long thing. To achieve this same thing I just achieved easily by attaching dollar to something or by approximating by doing this. You cannot achieve any of those things with the comma method. You can't. So all of them have their advantages and also shortcoming. Do you understand it now? So string formatting using the dot format method. In this case now we could let me just copy all of these things, paste them, and then instead of using percentage, you put the braces as the placeholders. Put braces as the placeholders. You put braces. I still want the inches to remain there. Okay? Please, if it is single quote, if it is double quote that you use outside, this one must be single. If it is single quote that you use, since you know that you need to use double quote as part of your display, then make sure that it is single quote that you use for the strings. Okay? Make sure it is single quote you use for the string. Because if you use double quote for the string, and you now still put double quote inside, you are going to cause confusion for Python. You see that immediately this thing will turn to white. Let me show you. You see that tone will change to white. Reason is that it will believe that it is only from here to here that is string. That you have closed the string. So another thing here now, it will take it as a variable. Okay? So in order not to confuse Python, let the external stuff, let it just be a single quote so that it will not conflict with the double quote that is inside. Now everything is fine. No conflicts. Remember that you can use either double quote or single quote for string. But it says in a situation whereby even inside the string, you have a particular kind of quote, then you use the opposite of that quote outside. Okay? If you want to indicate something that has a single quote, maybe I want to say, maybe I have something like this. Print. This is Sade's pencil. You know, this is Sade's pencil because I know that I'm going to use a single quote inside the string. Then I surrounded it with double quotes to indicate as a string indicator. You understand it now? So that there won't be conflict. Okay? So if you run the program now, everything will be fine. Oh, this one is what caused the crash. Let me comment it out. So run the program. You have this. This is Sade's pencil. You can see that everything came out perfectly, no issues. Okay? But assuming it was a single quote I used, and I used another single quote here, okay, it is going to think that my string finished at this place, that this is the beginning and the ending, this is where my string started from and it ended here. It will not acknowledge the other ones as string, okay, because it believes that you have already closed it from here. So in order to avoid that conflict of interest, put the double quote here and double quote here, and everybody is fine. So if you know that you want to use double quote inside your sentence, then use single quote outside. If you know that you want to use single quote inside your sentence, use double quote outside. So that is how it works. All right? So this is Sade's pencil, blah, blah, blah. I just quickly used that as an example. So let me take it off. And then I'm going to remove this one. Okay, so you place a placeholder here, placeholder here, placeholder here. The inches still remains there, and everything is fine. So instead of putting percentage, you are going to say dot format. It's just the same way that the percentage one works. Just exactly the same way. No difference. Okay? So, no difference. The mosquito is trying to hit me here. So it just works
But there's
that.
no dot in.
What did you say? What did you say?
I said it's only percentage. There's no dot there, but this format has dots.
Yes, yes, the dot format has dots. Dot format has dots. So if you run it, you're going to get everything perfectly. Mr. Emma is 55 years old, blah, 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 blah. So if you now want to format it, just put the format the inside the coil brackets. Do you understand? For instance, I want it to be in 2 decimal place. So just put this thing here, okay, the column, and then say 0.2. If I want it to be in 2 decimal place, just say 0.2f. You put it there. So by the time you run it, it's going to give you the results in 2 decimal place, just like that. Okay? So what will happen if I remove the column? Let's run it. It gave me an error. You see that? So if you want to format the string inside the chord brackets, please always put your column. Do you understand? And then if you run it this time around, it's going to be fine. No problems anymore. So what if you put something like this here? Maybe you put something like 5. What do you think is going to happen? Okay. You say cannot switch from automatic field numbering to manual field specification. So what it's just trying to say is that you are not free to do that, okay? Because this 5 that you put here, okay, it simply means that you are trying to switch to my manual field, and it is not allowed with this one. So you just put the stuff there, and then you put the 2f, okay? So what then is eligible to stay in front of this one, okay? In as much as, oh God, what's this thing now? And then before I get there, so mind you, you can also put the stuff here, like this, the number of place that you want the value to appear in. You can also put it here, okay? It will work fine. But in the absence of that, you can leave it, or you can just put it as 0.2f, no problem. 0.2f will still work the same way as 0.2f, okay? Checking out for the integer, all right? So we have Mr. Emma is, okay? All right, so the same way we achieve this one, we can also do it here. Put a column, you understand, and say maybe 0.8 or whatever it is, okay? If you run it, oh, sorry, I did not put DD. So let's run it. Precision not allowed in integer format specifier. You can see the restriction here. You know, I told you earlier that there are some things you can achieve with the percentage that you cannot achieve with the dot format. There are some things you could do with the dot format that you cannot do with the percentage. There are some things, all of them have their restriction and they have their advantage. The thing I did here now, okay, that I put 0.5 here and it worked for us. I tried to do it here now, it did not work, okay? So it says that you cannot put, you say precision is not allowed in integer format specifier. So what you did here that worked did not work for this dot format method. So they all have their restrictions and, you know, so that's that as per that. I believe you get my point. I believe you get my point.
Yes, sir.
We do.
Okay, good. So you can just leave it like that and it will work fine. Except if you just want to format it specifically, then you can go ahead and do that. Okay, so using F string formatting using F string. All right, so F string is just like it works like this, but in its own case too, it has some kind of degree of sophistication, and as well, obviously, it has its own limit. The limit of F string is that you cannot adjust values to a certain number of decimal places. You understand? So it has that disadvantage. You cannot put it to a certain number of decimal places, but the advantage is that it allows you to just present all your answers straight up like that without. Okay, let me just give you an example. Print. It allows you to put your variables there, Mr. Okay, so just open the bracket and put the this thing there, the variable name. You say Mr. Name is. You put the variable name inside. What is the variable name for that one is we used age, right? We use age, and then Mr. Emmanuel is Kiniko. It's years old, and you open a bracket.
Height.
So, Mr. Emmanuel is 8 years old and height inches. So, this is how the F string works. So, you now put letter F, you attach it, no space, so you don't put space. Even for the dot formats too, you won't put space. Okay, just like type everything dot format and it will work very fine. Okay, so print F, you put F in the front like to start the string, and then immediately after the F, no space at all, put your string quote, whether it is single quote you want to use or double quote you want to use, just put it there, and then type everything you want to type as if everything is just fine. Only that the variables will be kept inside braces, okay? And as it is now, we cannot format it like the height is going to appear just like that. Let's run it first. You see, Mr. Emma is 5 years old and 5.678 inches tall. So everything's worked fine, okay? Just that we could not adjust the other value to 2 decimal places like we did to the other ones. All right? Now, trust me, what I want to do now is an experiment. Just trust me. I just want to see that, okay, fine. I've seen the limitation, but can't I just pull up some stunts? Can't I just do some crazy things that will actually manipulate the heights to that can drop it back and make us to have some number of decimal places there, even though it is looking impossible? Is there anything we could do? All right. So, man, tiredness, shit. So we have height. Okay, so this height, I just want to do a rekpao. I want to play rough play. I want to reduce it to 2 decimal places. You can have 8 years old and height dot format. Please, I'm coming. I think this guy has slept off. Let me off the TV. Excuse me, please. Okay. So we have this. I know it will not work anyway, but I just want to post on. So that format, and then you open a bracket and you put height. Okay. And then here, I'm going to put breeze. Okay. And then 0.2 F. Okay. All right, so let's run it. A string is single, this is not allowed. Okay. Okay. I didn't close. Wait, this one has close. This one has close. Okay. I opened it. Let me remove this one. It will not work. It will not work. It can't work. See, it can't work. It can't work. Don't let me waste time. But you know what? Trust me, I'm going to create something that will make it work. But probably not just this night. It can't work for some reason. This dot format here that I put here, except if it allowed me to put in the braces, okay, inside it, then it can work. But without that, I don't think it will work. Right? So because the dot format that I indicated is inside, it's also inside the quote, and it's supposed to be outside. It's inside something. So anyway, maybe I'll give you that as an assignment. I will try to experiment it. If it works, I will let you know what I did. If it doesn't work, well, so there we go. I'm just trying to open your mind that you can create anything in as far as you know what you're doing. And then you can try something. If it doesn't work, fine. You go back, you check the reason why it did not work, you keep trying until the thing works out. It's very much allowed. It's just part of the whole story. Okay. Mr. Iman, blah 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 blah. Dot formats. No. This one is getting out. So just put it this way. So Mr. Iman is me, Mr. Iman name is blah 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 blah. I think everything should be fine now. What did I do? It says F string empty expression not allowed. Which expression did I open up? Mr.
The last brace is empty.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. It's height. And run it. So everybody is fine now. So you see that they all have their limitations. Where this one is strong, another one is weak. What you can do with one, you cannot do with the other. So that's how it goes. All right. So let's quickly, maybe we should just leave this topic, and then move on to something else. So what else do you suggest that I revise? You are the one to tell me what to do. Out of all the topics you've read and everything you've done so far, what do you think I need to revise? I need to touch again. Okay, Dorcas, please.
Hello, sir. Conditional branches.
What did you
And
say?
input statement.
Huh?
Input.
Conditional branches.
Okay, conditional
Okay.
branching. I'm definitely going to do that one. Definitely. That one is default. I'm talking about the topics before that one.
How about input the using the input statement?
Okay. So let's quickly run that one. Sharp, within 5 minutes. So I'm creating another tab. Okay. So using the inputs statement. So how do you use the inputs? We all know that input statement is actually used to receive values from the user in a computer program. So it is used to receive values from the user. So when you expect the user to put something, to input something, then the input statement works well for that purpose. All right. So now, for instance, let's say you have a task to write a code that collects two numbers from a user and multiplies them. Collect two numbers from a user and then you multiply the numbers. To give the final results. Okay? All right, so let's see how it goes. Want to collect two numbers. To collect anything from the user, the very first stage you do is to create a variable. All right, create a variable. That's the very first thing. Because whatever is it that you collect from the user must be stored inside the variable that you created. So let's say you have, I want to collect number 1. I can say first.
I just imagine I have not connected all those things from Livingstone before. I'll not start from beginning. I'll just be crying.
Dorcas, are you talking to
Sir.
me?
Oh,
Livingstone, come. Livingstone. All right, let's continue.
sorry, sir.
All right, so we have first number. Let's say first number is equal to int inputs, int inputs. You now put the instruction there. It can be single quotes, it can be one, it can be double quotes. Please insert the first number. Okay, good. And then int input, please insert the first number. And then you go. I believe you all remember the reason why we have to put int here. Do I need to explain that?
Because no need.
Okay. Because whatever is it that input statement collects, anything it collects at any time, it always collects the thing as a string. It always collects as a string. So this int here, will now convert, it will typecast, it will convert the value from string into integer. You understand? So that's why you put it there. So first number is equal to int input. Please insert the first number. And then you have second number. Is equal to int inputs so here we can just say, instead of using the word insert, let's say enter the first number, the second number. All right, good. And then you can now say print. You can make it interactive. The products of both numbers, or let me just say, you entered let's use F string. You entered first number as the first number. Here you can say print. You open a bracket. You say F string. You entered. Put it here too. As the second number, and then you say print F string, the product of both numbers is, you can create a space, oh, just that should be enough. The product of both numbers is, and then you put can put first number multiplied by second number okay. I think we are good to go. End this one with a single quotes. All right, so that says it all. So we can run the program now. Let me just change this one to okay. So let's run it. We have run. Please enter the first number. So I entered number 5. Please enter the second number. I enter number 10. It says you entered 5 as the first number, you entered 10 as the second number. The product of both numbers is 50. Understand? So that's how it works. And then we are good to go. Any question?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So
Got it.
you can even decide to put some space. Maybe, like for instance, you can just come here. You enter the first number, you enter the second number. Maybe we should do it like this. You can put space. You can just put a single. You can either use an empty print. Just put an empty print here, and then that's all. And then you run it, and you put some space in there. Let's say 5, enter 10, like that. So you have please enter the first number, please enter the second number. Then you say you entered 5 as the first number, you entered second as the number. The product of both numbers is 50. Okay, so can just do that. If you don't want to use this empty sprint, if you want to go a little bit more professional, you use the new line statement, which is \n, new line character. So new line character is just like you put \, then you put n. By the time you put \n, Python is going to create an empty line. It's going to create an empty line under that place. So if you run it like this, you put 5 and then you put 10, you run it, you see, wait, this one you don't put it here. Okay, let me check what's actually happened, because you're supposed to put it there. Actually, the new line character is used to break a long sentence into, like, to make the sentence continue in a new line. But if you do not put anything at the back of it, okay, if you didn't put anything at the back of it, it will just create an empty line, an empty space. But if you put anything after it, it's going to make sure that that thing you put after it is going to continue on a new line. For instance, please enter the second number \n if your head is correct. I'm just like using it as an example. Okay. So if you run it, enter the first number, you see 5. You see what it did? It says, please enter the second number if your head is correct. You see that if your head is correct, it's continued it. Although in the original code, it was everything is on one line. But on this one now, you see that the thing, if you see this one now, you see that the thing continued on a new line because of this \n. Okay? It is not only inside input statement that it works with, it works in print just the same way too. It is actually used to continue a statement or a long sentence on a new line. That's what it's used for. You don't put space. If you put space, okay, that space too will reflect in the results like that. So let's run it. If you have 6, you see the way it did it. You see that space you put made the thing to shift to the front. So you won't put space. You let it gum to the body of that end like that. So it will start on a new line. We call it the new line character. Okay. So, but in a case whereby you did not put anything at the back here, it is expected that, it is actually expected that it will leave an empty space. But it didn't do that in this case. I don't know why. Okay, let me run it again. If you still repeated that same thing, I know what, I will try something else. Okay, so let's put it this way. \n, but it must be inside the string. And then remove this one. So let me see what happens here. Okay, so you run it. I think that thing I did, I was supposed to do it on the line that follows it, so that it will create the space before it writes that statement. It's in the line that follows it that I'm supposed to put it. You see the way it worked here now. So this thing that I kept here should have been kept in the line that follows it. Maybe it's something like this. But the new line character, does it work with F string? I doubt. I think it is going to return an error. Let me stop it to run again. So let's see 4, enter, you see 6, 6 times 4 is 24. So, okay, it worked, no errors. All right, so you have the empty space there, okay, just because you kept it here. So what it will do is that it will create an empty space, making sure that everything that appeared after it is represented on a new line, so it leaves the empty space. So instead of me putting it at the back like I did before, I think it's rather, it should have been in the front of that line where you want the space to start from. Do you understand it now? So that's how it goes. So instead of writing an empty print statement, you can use the new line character to do that, and it will still work very fine to give you the same result as that empty print statement. So is that clear to you now? I believe we now understand how to use the input statement. Mind you, if you don't put integer here, it is not going to work when you are dealing with numbers. But when you are not dealing with numbers, when you are dealing with strings, of course, it will work very fine.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. So a second example, I want to do this one like example for string concatenation. So because I want it to work, I have to deactivate all these ones. So you know what to do. As I've highlighted them, I'm going to press the single quotes 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And it just turn everything to comments. So that's multi-line comments, for those of you who have forgotten. All right, so I want to have another example. Okay, let me say, x is equal to, I will say int, no, let me just say input, enter anything, and then y is equal to input, you open a bracket, enter another thing. So since you are using input statements, anything that you type here will definitely come out as a string. Whether it is a number, Python will see it as a string number. Whether it is text, it will see it as a string text. But anything you put here, it's coming out as a string. So before it gets stored inside X, it will be converted. It comes out in form of a string and gets stored in X. This one too comes out in form of a string and gets stored in Y, because you did not typecast it. You did not change this thing to something else. You did not change the data type. So what you do now is that you just say X is equal to this, Y equals to this. Then the next thing you do is you can use print statement and say print you can say the results of the concatenation of both values is, I'm going to put backlash n. The result of concatenation of both values is backlash n, and then you put comma, and you say x plus y. Because I want to concatenate the two things, okay? So you just say x plus y, and I think we are good to go now. All right, I told you before that when plus comes in between two values that are strings, then it will concatenate them. But when it comes in between two values that are numbers, it will add them. So whether it is going to concatenate or add depends on whatever is it that the operands are. This is an operator, while the two things around it are called operands. This is an operand, this is an operand. What is working on the two of them is called operator. Operand is spelled as OPERAND, operand. Okay, so let's quickly code. Let's run this program now. If I run it, it will tell me enter anything. So let me say I enter 2, and then enter another thing. Well, I enter face. Then by the time I press it, you see the result of the concatenation of both values is 2 face. Okay, so let me just remove this one. I don't think it's serving any function there. It's 2 face. So run it. Enter anything. I say I put bets. Enter another thing. I put Niger. And then the result of the concatenation of both values is bet Niger. You understand? So that is how it works. More people have gone to sleep. Oh. More people have gone to sleep. Like 4 people have gone to sleep now. Let me see who is still online with me. Shefam is still online. Tosin is online.
Yes.
Richard Amba just entered.
I'm here, sir.
Richard Amba just entered like some few minutes ago. I knew when he entered. Yeah, Mr. Mololu is still online. Okay. All right. So the result of the concatenation of both values is bet Niger, and that is that. As per that. So that is that. So what else are we revising? List tuple sets, and that one is going to be long. Let's have another class tomorrow. You know, we are not supposed to have
I
class
think
on.
it's better that
We are not supposed to have class on Tuesday, but because we could not cover everything, so let's dedicate tomorrow to cover the remaining things. So which means you're having class,
That's better, sir.
but that does not dissolve Wednesday's class. So you're having class Monday, Tuesday. Now the Tuesday is supposed to be for practice, but since we did not do anything new today, we only revised the old things. So we'll continue tomorrow on that. So that's that as per that. So, all right then. You all do have a good night. And,
And you too,
and
sir.
you too.
yeah, okay, thank you. So hope to see you tomorrow.
Oluwatosin,
How far, yeah?
Oluwatosin. It's been a
Longest
while
time.
now. Wow. Only just joining.
Don't mind her.
You
She was not
see
serious
your
I've
since
big
been
head.
before.
Mr. Emma, I learned some new stuff about print statement, whatever. Like for instance, now if I say okay, my variable name, okay, sorry, if I say name equals Emmanuel, I can tell you there's what to do that it will tell me that okay, Emmanuel house so letters, like maybe like 5 letters and 5 alphabets
That is
or 6 alphabets.
the string formatting part 3 that I want to teach you. You know, I told you that there is a part
Okay.
3 that I have not taught. That part 3 now it contains some other stunts that I've not even spoken about at all.
Touch at all, yes, yes.
You can split the string, you can split it, you can join it back, you can iterate over it, you can do many things with strings that I've not even told you at all. I only taught
Yeah.
you guys the things that are important for the things that you'll be seeing regularly, the things that are important for this period for now, based on what you'll be
Okay.
seeing repeatedly. You understand? That's what I quickly first taught, because those ones now, you will not be needing them as such, as far as the things that we are
Okay.
learning for now is concerned. So that's why I didn't teach them yet. And then some of them that I've not even taught self,
Okay.
like iterating over a string now. The reason why I've
Okay.
not taught you is that I have not yet taught you loop. By the time I teach you loop now, I will teach you how to iterate over strings. That is also another part of string formatting too. So I'm just
Okay.
technically arranging the class. I'm strategically arranging the class in a way that is even different from the way all these online people did their own. You understand? If you go to W3 schools now, there is an arrangement they used, but that arrangement will not work for people like you. You understand it now? Because I have studied everything. So I know the best thing that should follow another thing. I know what should ideally follow another thing. But if you follow their own pattern now, you might be confused. That's why many people could be confused, because of the fact that, okay, yes, you are already understanding this thing. No, another topic will now come. The thing will now scatter everything in someone's eye again. Just because there are some things you need to know before you reach that another topic, which you were not, which the thing did not cover, which now it now covered it later on. So, but you just don't worry, Sha. I've passed through all
Okay.
these stages. So I'm teaching you like someone who has had issues, who has had difficulties, who have had challenges, and was able to overcome it. So the things I did to overcome my challenges is what I am using to teach you. Like I'm teaching you in a way that you will not even have any challenge at all. Everything will just be going smooth. You understand? So there is a
Okay.
way I have arranged the classes myself. So that's the pattern I'm
Okay.
following. But yes,
Alright. Thanks so
it's
much.
not bad. You guys should research. You should find out more things. And in the course of your research, say if you get hooked and there is something you don't understand, come back to me. I will explain it to you.
Alright,
Yeah,
sir.
exactly.
Thank
I'm doing that already.
Exactly.
you.
Oluwatosin.
Before I go start to the toast each other, bye bye. Don't spoil my recording.
Mr. Mondaro, Gary.
Bye. Good night to you. Bye.
Understand. Night.
No, I have stopped the recording. You can continue your conversation with me. I'm going. I've stopped the recording. So, yeah.